The Haunting of Aisle 9. You know, there's something about supermarkets that feels safe, right? The bright lights, the busy aisles, the constant hum of activity. But what if I told you that even in a place like that, something horrifying could happen? This is the story of a small town supermarket where something unspeakable took place. A story that still haunts those who were there. It was just a regular evening in 2014 at a local supermarket in a small, quiet town. The kind of place where everyone knows each other. It was around 9 p.m. closing time. So the store was nearly empty. Only a few employees were left, preparing to wrap up for the night. The supermarket had been around for decades, and people had heard whispers about strange things happening there. Items falling off shelves, the lights flickering for no reason, and cold spots that would suddenly appear in random aisles. But no one really paid much attention. It's an old building, after all. But this night was different. It started with a strange noise, like someone was dragging something heavy across the floor. The few customers who were still in the store noticed it, but they shrugged it off as just some stock being moved. Except no one was moving anything. Then came the smell, a full rotten odor that wafted through the air. It wasn't coming from the produce or the meat section, though. It seemed to come from the back of the store, near aisle 9. The smell was overpowering that one of the employees went to check it out. As she approached aisle 9, she felt an overwhelming sense of dread, like something was watching her. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she told herself it was just her imagination. When she reached the aisle, she saw something that made her blood run cold. There, in the middle of the aisle, was a man she had never seen before. He was standing completely still, facing away from her. He was dressed in dirty, old-fashioned clothes that looked out of place, like they were from another time. She tried to speak to him, but he didn't respond. He just stood there, his head slightly tilted to the side, as if listening to something. Then, without warning, the lights flickered, and in that brief moments of darkness, she heard the dragging sound again, this time closer. When the lights came back on, the man was gone. But where he had been standing, there was a dark, wet spot on the floor, like something had been spilled. The smell of decay was stronger than ever. Terrified, she ran to find her co-workers, but when they returned to the aisle, the spot was gone, and everything looked normal. They thought she was imagining things, that maybe she was just tired, but she knew what she saw. The next day, she did some research and found out something chilling. Decades ago, a man had been brutally murdered in that very spot. The killer was never caught, and the case went cold. But locals whispered that his spirit never left, that he was trapped in that supermarket, still seeking justice or revenge. Over the next few weeks, more strange things started happening. People reported seeing shadows moving on their own, hearing whispers when no one was around, and feeling the cold breath on the back of their necks. Items on aisle 9 would often be found scattered on the floor, as if someone had thrown them in a rage. One night, a customer who had heard the rumors decided to visit the store right before closing. He brought a camera, thinking he could capture something paranormal. He headed straight for aisle 9. At first, nothing happened, but as he walked down the aisle, the temperature dropped suddenly, and his breath became visible in the cold air. Then his camera began to malfunction, the screen flickering with static. He heard that same dragging noise, growing louder and louder, until it felt like it was right behind him. He spun around, but there was nothing there, just that foul smell, stronger than ever. Suddenly, the lights went out, plunging the aisle into darkness. In the pitch black, could hear heavy breathing, not his own, but something else, something right next to him. Panicked, he fumbled for his phone to use as a flashlight, but before he could turn it on, something cold and clammy grabbed his arm. He screamed and ran, not stopping until he was out of the store. When he looked back, the lights were back on, and everything seemed normal again. But when he checked his arm, there was a bruise in the shape of a hand. One that was too large, too cold to be human. The supermarket closed down shortly after. The owner said it was because of the low sales, but those who knew the story believed it was something more. The building still stands empty and abandoned, a place where no one dares to go. And as for aisle 9, it remains a place of mystery, a reminder that even the most ordinary places can hide the darkest secrets. So, next time you're in a supermarket late at night, take a moment to look around, because you never know what might be lurking in the aisles, watching and waiting. You might just find yourself in the middle of your own horror story.